San Diego motorcycle ride. Well, actually, it's a ride to San Diego from Gilbert, Arizona. This is the first weekend in January 2015, and I did a similar ride from Chandler, Arizona in December of last year. So I was familiar with it, and I learned a couple of things on my first ride that I incorporated into this ride. And the number one thing is, hey, be prepared for the cold. And this set a record for me, the coldest that I ever rode a motorcycle. Now, the distance is approximately 351 miles. So it's quite a ride. And we started off at 8 o'clock Arizona time, 7 o'clock San Diego time, and it was in Gilbert 32 degrees when we started out, so it was cold. But I was prepared this time. I had my full face helmet, my leather jacket, long johns, and luckily I had 2 sets of gloves. I wore a regular thin summer set that I put on, and then I put on my ski gloves over that. And still, the tips of my fingers in the morning got really cold. And I also had a scarf that I put on around my neck, which helped out quite a bit. Now, what I'm riding here is, I just purchased it, is a 2006 American Iron Horse Texas Chopper. And this one has air ride on it. And since I own a similar model without the air ride, I was very familiar with how it handled and stuff. So that wasn't a problem at all. And I checked the weather ahead of time, made sure there was no rain in the forecast. But it was going to be cold, and I knew that. And so we left. Now, when you're riding through the desert here, especially out in Arizona, the stops where you can get gas sometimes are 25, 30 miles apart. The little tank on here, even though it's rated about 3.1 gallons, maybe when that's flat on the ground, when it's mounted on the bike, I've never been able to put more than 2 3/4 gallons into it. I never really know without any gauges and stuff, and I don't want gauges to clutter up the clean chopper look, but I think on the highway I'm getting somewhere around 45 miles to a gallon. In the city, it drops down to maybe about half of that if I'm lucky. But so you got to be conscious of where you're at and stop quite often, because if you run out of gas, even though my wife was following me, you still could be in for a problem. Now, with that said, I did one time on this ride approach an exit ramp where I was going to get off anyway for gas, and I just ran out. I switched over to the reserve, and I wasn't even sure if the reserve worked. There's no way to test it, and but it did work, and that gives you who knows how far, maybe another 5-10 miles. So that was no problem at all. But I get off, I figure about every 80 miles or so just to play it safe. On the highway, Highway 8 out there in Arizona, the speed limit is 75. And when it's cold, you really feel the cold. So the morning ride, at least until I got to Yuma, was pretty cold. From Yuma through the desert there, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was cool, but nothing compared to that. My goal was to get up over Jacumba and the Cuyamaca Mountains before sunset, because I knew it was going to get really cold up there. And I did that pretty much, and just got into San Diego right around sunset. You got to allow quite a few gas stops. My wife had the dogs in the car, so we stopped for gas, and I'd take the dogs out for a walk. We stopped in Yuma for lunch. The whole trip, when all the stops and everything were taken into consideration, took about 9 hours. It was a lot of fun. There was not one mechanical problem with the bike at all. It was just great. And here's a picture. If you're wondering what this picture is, it's the day after I came home. I parked the bike in the garage. That's looking at the garage floor, and not one drop of oil. on there from that ride. So it was a great ride, a great bike. I'm going to be doing a couple things to it, and then I think I'm going to be putting it up for sale. Hey, appreciate you watching. Here you can see my wife pulling up alongside. She's taking a video of me as I ride by, and I'm taking video of her as well. A like, a tweet, and a subscription to our channel would be much appreciated. Thanks. If you enjoy custom motorcycles and classic choppers, be sure to get a subscription to our site, SanDiegoCustomMotorcycles.info.